Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Steven Universe review. In this episode, we're taking a look at Season 5, Episodes 29 through 32, Change Your Mind. Also, the series finale. I know it isn't technically the series finale, and there is a Season 6 coming, but I have some complicated thoughts on that, and we'll talk about those at a later point. It's complicated. But this is Change Your Mind. This is the big episode that this is the episode we've been building up for like 7 years now. Which, you know, it really is a series finale, but they did not build it up like it at all. It does not, when you're actually watching the episode, it does feel like it, but like outside of it, like what people were saying about it, I know, right, I heard a little bit, it really didn't feel like it. It didn't really feel like this was going to be as grand as it actually turned out to being. Also, they changed the episode had been called Battle of Hearts and Minds for like weeks, and then it's actually called Change Your Mind, which we didn't even find out until I want to say Ian Jones Corey tweeted about it. Yeah, so there was a lot that went into this, and it's a big episode. And my original plan was I was going to talk about everything, but you know, just because posterity's sake, and we got some other things to do, plus we may or may not be starting a new show. Hint, hint, wink, 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 wink. I'm going to break it up into 3 videos. So this is just the review of Battle of Hearts and Minds. If you're here for that, that's what you're getting here. Sometime within, hopefully the next week, I'll be giving my, like, an overview on Diamond Days and basically what it's like. It's not positive, just to give you a hint. And then I'll be doing one about Season 6 speculation. And those should be coming within the next 2 weeks. But this is just the review. That's just what we're focusing on today. So let's start. It starts off where we left off in escapism. Steven's still in prison. Connie's nowhere to be seen. And we see, and Blue comes in and it's like, what's going on? It feels off because it's still Steven and everything correlates. There's this adorable looking caterpillar. It has nothing to do with the episode, but it's cute. And then it's revealed that this entire thing is a flashback. That this is actually as Steven turns into Pink. I mean, this is really clever actually, because everything correlates. It's like, oh yeah, it's something off, but then when you actually see it, it's like, oh, okay. I didn't figure it out at first. Also, I didn't bring it up, but I did a companion video to this, which was my commentary of me watching the episode for the first time. And yeah, it's a pretty shit video, let's be honest. But it was an interesting experiment that I will probably never do again. But hey, I'm happy I did it. Especially because this was so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, so it's all in his head, and Steven's freaking out because he still doesn't get his powers, and we kind of get hit and miss of it. But yeah, he's shifting between all 3 because what is Steven? What is he? He doesn't even know what he is. Also, during this conversation, Blue basically says that if you keep acting up, she'll take Pink's pearl away. So that we more or less know what happens to it. Why White took away the pearl and turned it into her own, presumably giving Pink her pearl, I don't really get. I mean, there was that whole idea of, oh, maybe she gave Pink her pearl because it was like her pearl was more straight-laced and it would hopefully straighten Pink out, but they're still pearls within the context of Homeworld, so yeah. But then we cut back to the actual president, and Blue Diamond walks in. Bad joke. That's a theme. Well, I'll talk about it again. I have it written down a few times here. But yeah, we start with a bad joke, and Blue's like, oh, you shouldn't have done this, and the line about Connie, what would a human know? Blue Diamond was literally the one who said, oh, it's amazed a human could understand the pain of a diamond way back in Steven's dream. So yeah, it's a good bit of irony. I like it. There's a lot of callbacks to previous episodes and it all connecting. But yeah, Blue tells Steven to apologize. He won't. Just very blatant about it. Steven is very blatant in this episode. And, you know, it works. It's a little different than he normally is, but I think it works. And in the situation he's in, I get it. I get why it happens. But yeah, Steven eventually confronts Blue and is like, hey, you've locked her in here how many times? You've made her cry how many times? This isn't healthy. This isn't a good, relationship for a family. And yeah, Blue just straight up admits it. I like how they're able to diffuse Blue with just talking. Yeah, she hits Steven with her magic or whatever, but it's mostly just through talking. And there are some fight scenes in this episode, most definitely. But a lot of it isn't through fight. Like, a lot of the bigger moments are all just conversations. And that's what I like, because that's what the show set up. That's how the show works. So I think the conversation's really... Also, she says in what universe is fusing with a human okay? And I'm so disappointed Steven didn't say, in Steven's universe. I know it's cliche and corny, but that was a perfect opportunity to do it, and I'm disappointed they wasted it. But they head back to Pink's room, they eat because they need food. I like the joke about how, don't cry or else you'll get dehydrated. But yeah, they're gonna go save the rest of the crystal gems who Yellow has. And yeah, Blue's on their side now. And Blue confronting Yellow is great. It's her standing up for herself. And I like how Yellow reacts to it as well. Because at first she's like, no, you've done this before. We can't keep doing this to Pink. We can't just keep giving Pink her way, right? But then Blue stands up and is like, no, this is the right thing to do. We're wrong in this situation. And we do get a fight scene with them. But I don't feel like it's harsh. And when it is harsh, it's like, this isn't something I want to do kind of harsh. Like, this is not I guess it is you're forcing my hand kind of harsh. But it is like just them relieving stress, relieving anger with each other. Yes, they do. You could argue Yellow kills Blue, but or poofs her anyways. But you get my point, right? It's not aggressive. It's just aggressive. And yeah, they have the fight scene while Steven and Connie are trying to save the gems, and it eventually gets taken outside, and it is resolved by talking once again. Blue and Yellow are talking to each other. Yellow goes to strike down Blue, and Yellow, throughout this entire scene, Yellow still has some of the goofiest facial expressions. Ever since, her first appearance was the We Are the Crystal Gems short, right? The extended intro. I think, right? That was her first appearance. But, like, going back to It Could Have Been Great, it's not that episode, it's the episode after that, but before Log Date. I'm spacing the name, don't at me. It's in that, like, one of the most memorable things about Yellow is the whole giraffe and her face she gives. And that's just kind of become a consistent part of Yellow's character, because here in this moment, she makes some goofy faces and some ugly faces, which I'll give them credit for that. But yeah, no, I like this whole scene. I like how, again, she's talked down, not, like, beaten down. That just makes it more interesting, in my opinion. Not solving your problems with words, not fighting. Even though for the next 2 parts, we are going to get some fighting. Because now Yellow's on their side. Another diamond, 2 diamonds redeemed. 1 to go. I know there were people who didn't want it. I'm glad it happened, though. It just gets more from there. But yeah, they go to try to escape the ship, and White Pearl blocks them and fuses the 2 ships, stacking 1 ship on top of the other. And that's where part 1 ends. This thing is divided, because it's basically 4 episodes in one. It was divided into parts, and yeah, that's how I think about it. And now, for those who wanted the action, parts 2 and 3 are the action for you. So yeah, we now have the ship, and it's fine. But then it opens its eyes, and I understand the eyes allow it to be more expressive, as we'll see here in a minute. It gives it more expressive, it gives it more definition. But I get it. It's staring into your soul. I don't care for it. It looks weird. I think it's way more intimidating when it's just the slits, right? It doesn't need more definition than what it already has. And then they're like, oh, what do we do? We're trapped here like this. And then the 2 blue and yellow ships come flying in. Yeah, they were able to repair them, which, yeah, I talked about how that was complicated, but they do properly fix themselves up a lot faster than I was expecting. Again, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But they're able to knock down the white, let's just call it white ships for simplicity's sake. And yeah, it's Bismuth. She's in yellow ship. And then in blue ship, it's Peridot and Lapis. We finally get Peridot and Lapis's new designs. We finally get Peridot's star. Two seasons too late, I'd say. It really should have happened in Kindergarten Kid. I don't know why they didn't do it. And there are some people who are like, oh, it has to be saved for like an epic moment like this. No, it doesn't. If anything, it's cooler by having it in not an epic moment. Kind of like how they've redesigned Amethyst like 4 times. I think that's way more interesting, in my opinion. And there's a Lapis is yeah, no, I like Lapis's outfit as well. Where it's a lot of things that, hey, it's cool to see here. I wish we had seen this earlier. But we'll get to that here in a minute. But blue and yellow say, hey, take our ship's escape, right? We'll hold off White Diamond. And then Steven, once again, proven he's better than Pink. He stays behind. He's going to help. He's not going to let the diamonds sacrifice themselves for him. He's going to be there. Again, just, it's always, I love, you know, and I know it's always, oh, that's the point of the show. Steven has to make up for the sins of his mother. But I know it's basic, but that's what I love. I love that so much. Whenever it is a little bit more tell, but they're still showing it. They're doing it through their actions. But blue and yellow are able to attach their arms, and it's also simple, but I like the light, showing how they're taking it over. And yeah, they're able to get up on the ship, and they confess their souls to White. Why blue feels this way, why yellow feels this way, and how they can't keep going on like this. Their family is in shambles. And blue has a great line like, oh, if we confess it to her, then that means we have to admit that it's broken. Great moment. There's a bunch of great moments. The other one here is, I think yellow says it, that we diamonds may be hard, but we're also brittle. It not only is a great way of describing their personality, but it also describes diamonds. Because it's been 2 years now, I think, since How to Kill a Diamond. Well, technically, I think that came out in like June of 2017. But yeah, no, diamonds are hard. They're the hardest thing on the scale. I don't remember what it doesn't matter, don't at me. But they're also, cut them across their cleavage and they're shatter. They are brittle. It's great way, and I love whenever the show's able to work an actual aspect of the gym into a character. It's always very clever. But of course, White, I mean, we've still got, what, probably 30 minutes left in the episode by this point? A little more, a little less. So, of course, it's not that simple, and White zaps them, turning them into puppets, which it really does, because these are diamonds. These are the strongest beings on Homeworld. The fact that White can take over both of them really does show her power. It's making her more intimidating, and we haven't even seen her appear in the episode yet. It's pretty clever. And then they go to escape, and Steven drops the crystal gem. So we get a pseudo-ish chase scene thing, where he's just going on to catch them, and he catches Amethyst, and because when Yellow knocked them out, and Together Alone, because she hit him hard, because she's a diamond, they don't get up easy. And Steven realizes that to get them up, he can just fuse. So we see Smokey again, and hey, you know, that's kind of clever, and it's kind of cool, and it's a good way to, like, ease us into their new outfits, because it's their combinations of Steven, and I think it works. I like it. And then we see Smokey, they defuse, and then we see Rainbow Quartz, Rainbow 2.0, who's, I can't get past the accent. It's whatever. But it's cool, because we've seen Rainbow Quartz, and I think it's We Need to Talk, which, would be another fitting name for this episode, honestly. Which, yeah, it's cool to see the Steven Pearl fusion. My problem is it took too long. We spent far too long to get here. We saw Smokey at the end of season what was it, season 3? We should have seen Rainbow Court sometime within that. I mean, seeing it, I mean, they could use it again. I mean, again, calling back to We Need to Talk. It would have been great. I think they should have done it. And so they're able to use it because of the umbrella. I like the umbrella. And I like Pearl's new outfit, I might as well say. I like Pearl and Amethyst's new outfits. They're mostly similar. I like how Pearl's outfit more references, is it not Last One Out of Beach City? That doesn't feel right. What, that episode where she takes the car and they go to the concert. You know the one. Again, I don't care. Don't at me. You get my purpose. It's a very similar outfit, though. And so they're able to get Ruby and Sapphire, and Steven goes to fuse with them, and they get crushed. Really funny. Again, you build up this expectation, and then you just crush it. It works. It works. But, of course, they're not actually crushed. And we see Sunstone, which, you know, for a Steven and Garnet fusion, not what I expected it to look like. I mean, Rainbow 2.0, yeah, that's more or less what I expected. Sunstone, though, is... I like the design overall. I like the color scheme for a Sunstone. What weirds me out is the extra arms underneath. I mean, I know, right? Because I think the extra eyes on Rainbow works, and the extra arm for Smokey really works, especially because of the how the weapon's a yo-yo, and having a third arm like that, or a third point to bounce off of, like, it all structurally makes sense. But the extra little arms just kind of, I could do without them, honestly. Other than that, I think it's a fine design. For a Sunstone, I think it really works being on fire. As Sunstone's actual personality, again, this is one I feel like they wasted. I would have, imagine if earlier on in the season we had been introduced to this. If we had Rainbow 2.0 in Season 4, and then this in Season 5, and then the twist they're about to do here in a minute for the final bit, right? The thing they're about to do next is what I want, is what I expect from a finale, right? So that I'm fine with. But we see Sunstone's personality. We don't get much time with him, but what little we do see, you get a twist. You get how they work. They're completely willing to break the fourth wall, which I do hate. Fourth wall breaking is fine, and this show has done it in the past with, it's either Sugalite or Sardonyx. I think it's Sardonyx. I always get the two mixed up. Again, doesn't matter. So yeah, fourth wall breaking has been established. It can be done in the show. But just kind of here in this moment, it just kills all the momentum. Because Sunstone's whole gist is that she only talks in inspirational quotes, right? Like, hey, or things that would inspire people. It's not Mrs. Whatsit or whatever her name is. I've never read A Wrinkle in Time. But it's not that bad, but it's like, oh, if you're being bullied, stand up for yourself or whatever, or kids, don't try this at home. That's kind of like, that's a lot of what she says. Look both ways before you cross the street. Shit like that. Inspirational stuff. Which I do think, for a fusion between Steven and Garnet, I actually think it makes a lot of sense. But just here in this one moment, if they had established this prior, I would have been fine. But here, happening in the now, I don't think it works. Also, the fusion weapon is like suction cup gloves, which... yeah, I like the Burj Khalifa sequence in Mission Impossible 4. So yeah, but it's real. Again, they're wrapping up a lot of loose ends here, and we'll get back. I keep saying that a lot. We'll get back to that, and there's a lot here. If they had shown this early on, I would have been fine with it, because then they didn't have to wrap up this loose end. I think the whole fusion sequence is really neat, and I like the idea, and even if they had shown them earlier on, I still totally think they could have done it here. But hey, that's just me. But they get sorted off, and we see Garnet's new outfit. It's mostly similar. Again, I like it. I don't care for the glasses. They're a little too extra, in my opinion. I liked Garnet's normal glasses, the one we've been seeing. These are just... I get the idea, but they're just too much for me. It pushes it. It doesn't, like, push it over a line or anything, but it just pushes it over the top. All right? And then they're like, okay, if we can't defeat her with Sunstone, let's go one step beyond. Let's all 4 of us fuse into Obsidian. This is what they should have saved for the finale. Rainbow 2.0 and Sunstone, you could have shown those earlier. This, though, Obsidian, this is the finale material. The temple, right? What we've been seeing all this time, actually seeing it in the flesh, so cool. It's, I like the design. At first, on one hand, I'm like, oh, out of everything, why is it Obsidian? Should it really, like, all of them fusing together makes Obsidian of all things? I would think it would be something a little different. Something, I don't want to use lighter, but something more colorful, like the example I thought of was Amalite, which is it's basically like a rainbow stone. But in the context of the actual episode, I get why it's designed like it is. Because when we look at the diamond ship, all 4 of them fused together, it's very bright, right? White, pink, blue, and yellow are all very bright colors. So to contrast that, they use Obsidian, which is a lot darker colors. It's not like they needed it to, like, stand out, but it contrasts really well, shows different sides, using blacks and oranges. I get why they did it from an artistic standpoint, to show the separation. It is interesting, though, to see white as a villainous color, while black is a heroic one. I know yin and yang, they can both be good, bad, whatever, inside one another. It's complicated. I'm not a philosophy major here. But I get, from an artistic point, yeah, it works. And then, so we get a little bit of the new crystal gems, or the crystal gems, where it's just the 4 of them fighting while, as always, the Godzilla principle, the idea that all fictional giant monsters want to be Godzilla, which is most definitely here. Same thing goes with Alexandrite, as I've said in the past. And I like that it's also not too big, I might as well say. Like, I like that Obsidian still has to, like, climb it. It's huge, but it's not incapably huge. Like, there still is a limit to these types of things. But yeah, we get the new crystal gems, and they kind of fight around there and not able to really do much damage. But Lapis gets knocked out, Peridot barely catches Bismuth, and then Peridot gets knocked out. And it's just Connie, and she's with Obsidian, and we see Obsidian's weapon. She fuses all 4 items into one, because Alexandrite really doesn't have a weapon. She has the fire breath, but that's about it. And she can use, of course, their weapons. But we see this Obsidian's weapon is sword hilt that they stick into the molten core, which is also kind of cool. And it becomes the Greater Flame Blade from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I don't have a direct comparison, but it's basically the Greater Flame Blade. Let's be real here. But the Greater Flame Blade is kind of cool, and in this context of Obsidian, it makes sense. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. But they're able to do some damage to the ship, cut the arms off, basically. And then they get crashed into a tower, and they all split apart. But they're able to get into the ships, alright? Mission accomplished. They're able to get into White Diamond, who's stuck in her head. You're staying in her head, you get my point. And we get in with a hero landing, which, that's neat. That's neat. And so, White Diamond's, right, it's look what you did here, right? What's going on? I'm paraphrasing here. I don't remember off the top of my head specifically what she said. But the whole point is that she's causing a scene, right? She's causing problems here. And hey, these are her new friends. They're funny. And then, of course, White Diamond just easily defeats all of his friends. And it works because it's, again, he lost Blue and Yellow, which are powerhouses. Now he's losing what makes him powerful and his friends. Not losing them, but they're being taken away. The only one left is Connie, who's stuck outside. It works. It's bringing Steven down to his more or less lowest moment. And yeah, and Steven brings up that they didn't need to be fixed, right? They're his friends. They were perfect the way they are. And White Diamond says she's made them perfect, which, you know, I get why they didn't do it, but by the rules of Homeworld, fusion between 2 different gems is considered a flaw. So why didn't Garnet split up into Ruby and Sapphire when White Diamond made them perfect. I mean, I get why they did it, because again, Garnet has more visual weight than Ruby and Sapphire do, so splitting them up would be less effective in this scene. But it does technically bring up a flaw, even though I totally get why they did it, so I'm not holding it against the episode. Connie comes in, and when I first saw it, I was like, oh, cool, Connie's gonna have a sword fight with Pearl, the one who trained her. And while, yes, we do see that Connie defeated Pearl, it's just quickly resolved. It's beginning and ends like that. It's kind of disappointing. And I know it wouldn't be the same, because it's technically not Pearl, but you get my point. You get where they could have gone with it, where they didn't. But White tells Steven that, hey, he surrounds herself with inferior gems, right? Steven finds gems that are weaker than him, weaker than Flawed, to make himself feel better. It's not mirroring what Jasper said, but it's rhyming. It's similar ideas, and it's part of the mythology of Homeworld, which Jasper at the time did represent, and now White Diamond is literally the physical embodiment of it. It works. It really does. But yeah, White Diamond picks up Steven and is like, you've been playing these games too long. And you know, in this entire sequence, White Diamond is super intimidating. They did a really good job with her, honestly. I wish we had seen more of her. I also wish she had a song, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, and of course she's like, you've been in there, Pink, too long. Earth's changed you. I'm gonna bring the real Pink out. And she pulls out his gem. And of course they do it tastefully. I know this following scene doesn't play out exactly how I expected it to, but it's still really well done, and I still kind of got the idea right. I got the visuals right, at least. And it's a great scene, because that pulling out the gem ends part 3. So here we are. Final part. Final bit. Lots gonna happen. Lots of loose ends wrapped up in one moment. We start off with a split screen here, right? On one side, we see from Steven's perspective, and on the other side, we're seeing, it's black at first, but then we see it's from, well, Pink Diamond's perspective, or the Pink Diamond, and it does the gem thing where it takes on different shapes until it becomes Steven's shape. Now, I brought up in the commentary how some things had been spoiled for me. I never actually said what they were. It was this scene of, hey, Steven, there's a Steven and there's a Pink Steven. I knew this was going to happen. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. And yeah, no, this is it. Seeing a different Steven and seeing a normal Steven and a Pink Steven it's a really neat way at handling Steven's gem being pulled out, because Steven is dying in this moment. Without his gem, he's like losing his life force or whatever. What made him him was taken away. Well, not what made him him. That's wrong. That actually, what makes Steven Steven is that he's Steven. But it's a part of him that's taken away, because White's like, no, this is wrong. This isn't you. Where's Pink Diamond? And the Pink Steven just yells, she's gone. It's really jarring, and that's kind of the point. It's meant to be loud, and it's meant to sting. And they do it effectively. But God, this is going to sound bad for me. I don't mean any disrespect when I say it. This is again me going in with expectations that, like, someone who's never watched the show might not someone who's watching it for the first time and doesn't spend years speculating may not have, and just watches it all in one go, they may not care about, or someone who hasn't done what like I or other people in the community have done. On one hand, I kind of wish it was Pink Diamond. If it was Rose Quartz, she fused back, but yet she still tells Pink Diamond no. She's still off, but it's Pink Diamond. It's not Pink Steven, it's a Pink Diamond. And what happens is still going to happen. They still will become one, but it's done with actual Pink Diamond shape. I part of me in my head really likes it, but I feel like the way they do it in execution probably works a lot better. I don't know. I've been racking it over, and part of me really likes it. Another part of me thinks it wouldn't be as effective as it is in this moment. But no matter what I take away, what they did here is effective. because White tries to blast Pink Steven, and we get like it's like a crystal shield, which it's actually kind of neat. It's like the bubble, but a lot more jagged. I kind of like it. I like how we get this flash of all the diamonds and all the gems blasting them, and how we cut back between them all. There's a lot of really nice shots, and it's only going to get better from here. Because, yeah, they're unable to defeat Pink because Pink is as strong as White, stronger even. And then Connie's able to bring Steven over to Pink Steven, and they're together. And the animation changes. It's a lot more bouncy, but it's also smoother. It is really nice. What they did was they brought in another guest animator, like Mindful Education. This time, they brought in James Baxter. You may remember James Baxter as the horse from Adventure Time. No, he's actually a famous Disney animator. But yeah, no, the effort put in here really does show. I'm putting it for this one big moment of Steven coming back together, forming Steven again, because they fuse back together, and it works. It's a super effective scene, and the animation is done beautifully. It's great. Great moment. And yeah, I love it. I love it so much. This is what I want from a finale, man. It has the weight to it. It's still flawed, but we'll get to that in a minute. And then White Diamond's like, no, you're not Pink Diamond, right? Why are you like this? You're just a child. And he's like, yeah, I am a child. What's your excuse? I'm paraphrasing that. Don't at me. I wonder how many times I've said that. But yeah, and then, so White Diamond blushes, all of the puppets in her control blush, and then she's out. She lets go of control, and hey, the day was saved. All with talking. Yeah, there's some fight in there, but for the most part, the day was saved with talking. I love that. And, yeah, and I mean, yes, the Crystal Temps come in to fight, but nope, everything's good. Everything's good. Pink Pearl is back to normal. I mean, more or less. Again, this is a character you could spend a lot more time with if this wasn't the series finale. Again, I know it isn't, but we'll get to it's complicated, man. It's complicated, but why? So when I first saw it, I was like, they say, oh, White Diamond's now off color. And I was like, what? What they're saying is that Pink's light has tainted her. It's adding, like, her blush has now tainted her. She's no longer perfect. I get what they're saying, but the way the show has used, I mean, yes, off color just means difference. And now she has this difference to her. Even though in future scenes, she doesn't really have it anymore. Yeah. But yeah, in this moment, we've redeemed White Diamond. Again, a lot of people thought, no, we're not going to redeem White Diamond. She's the big end-all be-all. And then they wrote themselves into the corner that they need White Diamond to heal the corrupted gem, so of course there was no way she wasn't going to get redeemed. It's obvious. Or that was gonna, ever since, well, they blatantly said it in Legs from Here to Homeworld, we knew it was going to happen. This was the inevitable. And now, to get this redemption started, which we kind of don't really even see. I mean, it's complicated. She has to leave her head. So then we cut back to Earth, right? Beach City. And I didn't bring it up way earlier, but as part of this being the final episode, the series finale, I'm using air quotes, I know it isn't, whatever, shut up. We're mirroring the first episode. Well, it's technically the second episode. For me personally, the laser light cannon, I think it was the first episode I ever saw of the show. Way back when I saw it before I saw Gem Glow, when it first aired. Or there may have been like a preview or something. Because I know Cartoon Network puts up like previews of episodes, but it usually isn't like the first episode. Yeah. So, but we're getting mirrors back to that. The song they're playing is Let Me Drive My Van Into Your Heart. Earlier on, they mentioned to Yellow Diamond that if every pork chop were perfect, we didn't have hot dogs. Plus, there are tons of other callbacks to previous episodes throughout this one. It's all just, it's mirroring, it's coming full circle. It works really well. It's what you would expect from a finale. And then, of course, they're upstaged by the diamonds and the ship showing back up. And hey, everyone's back to Earth. Everyone's safe. And then Lars' ship shows up, which, this is where we start. We're going, in the next, 5 minutes of in the last 5 minutes of this episode, we wrap up, a dozen plot threads. I don't have a complete list. I'm working on it. Specifically just from this arc. I'll get back to that on the Diamond Days video. But we're wrapping up so many plot threads that they should have done throughout multiple episodes. But Lars is here. Hey, he's back to Earth, and yeah, the off-colors are here. It's a good moment. Padparacha, however you pronounce her name, is still hilarious. She's still one of the funniest. Oh my gosh, I lose it. And yeah, Lars and Sadie are reunited. They make small talk. Do we get any more than that? Do we get any depth from that? Nah, they're just reunited. Maybe we'll leave that for season 6. They're just because they're wrapping up a lot of loose ends doesn't mean they've tied the knot on it and said this is the end. There still are some threads that will be addressed. And then we get a montage more or less of we see Centipedal, we go into the temple, and we head to Rose's Fountain, which, I didn't even put this connection together when we saw in Familiar the diamond sweat, and then Rose's Fountain is that sweat. It's Pink Diamond's sweat or whatever you want to call it. And we saw it kind of creates gems. So, of course, all 4 diamonds together fixes gems, which, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And we see they throw all the bubbles in. We see Nephirite. And, yeah, everyone's getting healed. This is our resolution to corrupted gems. It's cool. I wish we had more time with it. We see Jasper, of course, gets healed. I'm still not over what they did to her. But it's cool to see her here. I like that she immediately turns, but then it's she sees the diamond and it's oh, that's what's going on. But my favorite thing is that they're not fully healed. They're not back to their original state. We see Jasper still has her horns. She still has some green patches. That when I did Corrupted Gems years ago, well, it was mainly inspired by art by Calonrang, or however you pronounce it. I always get it wrong, and I always feel bad. Right? She had the whole idea, and I was like, oh, that's really neat. I hope this actually happens. And to see it actually happen just makes my day. It's such a neat detail. And I'm so glad they did it. Because corruption was such a complicated thing. So to see that it leaves scars, just, it makes me so happy. God, I love it. I love it so much. And I'm glad that Jasper is healed. Wish they had more time with her again. Maybe season 6. We'll talk about it. And yeah, we end off our montage with the diamonds heading back into space. And then we end where we begin. The beginning of the episode, but more importantly, the beginning of the show, with all of our gems hanging out, having a barbecue, and we get a new song labeled Change Your Mind. Also, throughout the montage, they're doing a reprise of the We Are the Crystal Gems. And yeah, it's fun. It's fine. I mean, it still is the show. Again, we're going back to where we started. And the new song, Change Your Mind, is basically just Steven, summing up the moral of the episode. It's only one step away from saying hey kids, what did we learn today? I mean, it's a fine song, I guess. It's short. I've only heard it 6 or 7 times. I may need to listen to it more. But yeah, and we end where we begin. I think it works. It wraps everything up in a nice little bow. And that's Change Your Mind. Is it a good episode? Yes, I think this is a great episode. There's tons of tension, there's tons of build-up, there's tons of payoff. It does everything really well. The animation is beautiful, the characters are great. Seeing it all build up, we see cool things like Sunstone, Rainbow Quartz, and Obsidian. We have tons of great moments. White Diamond is intimidating, but her redemption also works, even if it's kind of rushed. Everything about this episode, I think, really works. The problem is, it's a season/series finale. This is the end of everything we've been working towards, and they do it all in 45 minutes, give or take. it's the end. They did too much in a short time. And I think, like, if like certain, like I was talking about, like Sunstone and Rainbow Quartz and Lars, if arcs like that had been wrapped up in previous episodes, I think we would have, not that we would have spent more time on it, but I think it would have been able to, like, there's like a lot of tension here in what the episode has to do, and that's to detriment of the episode. If a lot of these let's say we had another season, we had spent a lot of time with a lot of these moments, we didn't go to Homeworld immediately after healing the diamonds, which again, we'll talk about in the Diamond Days retrospective. This would have, the arcs they do here, the story they do here, would have really worked. But because they're squeezing it all into one tight little package, it is about to burst. I think the actual quality of the episode is enough to hold it together, but only barely. And there are definitely some flaws, not just looking at this episode, but looking back at Diamond Days. And there's a lot of, we got a lot of plot threads ended, there's a lot of plot threads they left open, some of which I expected them to leave open, admittedly, and we'll talk about it. We will talk about it another time. Again, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. Make no promises, because I will fail you. And there's some time. I just want to spend more time with it before we get another season. Which, I think some things are going to change between this season and the next one. It's going to be different, and there are some ways it's going to be different. And I do know there is a movie that's coming. I think it got fall. And that'll probably take place between the end of here and the next season. It's going to be more of a, I keep saying non-canon. I mean, it's probably going to be canon, but it's not going to be as hard-hitting. But you know what I would love between that? I want an OVA. I'm using anime as my example. But I want an episode of just like us spending, just like an epilogue. Just us spending a little time with these characters before whatever happens in season. If season 6 is like immediately takes place like right after the movie or right after this, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But I think there's going to be a time skip. I'm not going to play all my cards right now, but I think there's going to be some sort of time skip. So if there is, I kind of want an OVA. I want a beach episode. I know they live right on the beach, but you get my point. I want a hot springs episode. I want an episode that can take its time, have some fun. Just like give us one final wrap up, one little happy ending. It's not much, but I think it mean a lot to me, basically. I don't expect it to happen. I think it'd be neat though. That's Change Your Mind. It's a lot, man. It's a big episode. It had a lot to build up towards, especially because I don't know. I very few people went in expecting this to be the wrap up of the arc we've been working at for years. I definitely didn't, even though as I was watching the episode, if you see in the commentary, I kind of see the writing on the wall. I don't know where we go from here. I really don't. Of course, if you've stuck around this long, I do want to know your thoughts on it, because I'm assuming it's going to be hit and miss. Based on how these things go, especially if it's anything like Adventure Time's finale, it's going to be hit and miss. Some people are going to be fine with what they did here, think that, yeah, this was a proper conclusion. Other people are going to also see it as rushed and think because of that rushed, it was a failure of an episode. Which I didn't mind Adventure Time's finale. I think it had some similar problems, but I think Adventure Time's finale overall did a good job. I meant to talk about it before the new year, and then do like a retrospective on Adventure Time, but then it just completely went over my head. And then, yeah, in the coming weeks, I'm going to do an entire thing on Diamond Days, highlighting a lot more of the problems, like the rushedness of it. And then I'll do my thoughts for Season 6. I have a few ideas. Some of them are more likely than others. Some of them I like more, but are more dangerous. But this should be going up on Sunday, hopefully. Just to date this video, Sunday I want to say it's the 27th. The following day, Monday the 28th, we're starting a new show. It's not because I have like post Steven Universe blues or anything. Well, I kind of do. I was out of it after doing the commentary. I was just kind of like, But I've been thinking about doing it for a while now, all this month. So We're starting something new. I doubt anyone's going to predict it. But, we'll see. We'll see. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.